appreciate such a great turnout. I was just talking with someone before this. Maybe 6 years ago, we moved the State of the City address. It was kind of a big deal. We moved it out of Carnegie Hall and moved it to different venues around the city to showcase our city. And we never would get crowds like this when we had them in Carnegie. And so this is a cool thing that we have so many of you who have come out today. This is considered an official city meeting. And so we take roll of our city councilors who are here with us today. So I'm going to take the roll of them. I would actually ask that you stand as I call your name, and then just hold your applause. We want to recognize them at the end if you could. So Councilor David Branco, Councilor Miranda Basie, Councilor Sarah Cole, Councilor Rich McCouris, Councilor Jennifer Siggety, Councilor Kurt Sale, Councilor Ryan Spellerberg, Councilor Richard Thomason. So before you clap for these folks, these guys give a lot of time, energy, effort to our city. Not only every Tuesday night, but throughout the week. It's a lot of work to serve on the Sioux Falls City Council. So thank them and give them a round of applause for the work they do for our community. I would also like any elected officials that we have with us, mayors, if you're an elected school board member, a state legislator, anybody who's in elected office right now, could you stand and be recognized as an elected official right now, please? All right, thank you for your service in elected office as well, some of our county commissioners and state legislators. I want to recognize Keith Moore from Senator Mike Round's office and Chelsea Schul from Representative Dusty Johnson's office. They're both here, I believe. Could you both stand and be recognized, Keith and Chelsea? Thank you. And we always kick off the State of the City with an invocation, and I would like to invite up Pastor Neil Downey with Central Church. He's not only pastor, he's my friend. He was a former neighbor for many years. Our kids just would walk into each other's houses without even knocking. That's how close we were. And so, Neil, thanks for giving the invocation. So I would ask that you bow your head for Neil's invocation.
Let's pray. Lord, as we are about to hear our mayor's assessment of the state of our city, we are so grateful for this place we call home. In spite of the wind and the drought and the floods and the ice storms and the heat waves and the potholes, there is no other place that I would rather be to work and play and learn and serve and worship and raise a family and build a life. We are grateful that this city is not just a place, that it is more than great parks and schools, more than a booming economy, more than just stores and restaurants and factories and hospitals and neighborhoods. We're grateful that at the heart of Sioux Falls is the people. So thank you, God, for public servants, for the volunteer soccer coaches, for the folks who serve the homeless, for the thousands of people who help this city thrive. And so, like you instructed in the book of Jeremiah, we pray for the peace and prosperity of the city. We pray for the hearts of the people, that they would continue to make this a city of justice and compassion, a city of freedom and opportunity, a city of courage and grit, a city of hospitality and kindness. And Lord, finally, I thank you for our mayor. Thanks for his integrity and vision. Thanks for his humility and his humor. And thanks for his friendship. And may we all follow his lead in loving you with everything we've got and loving our neighbor as much as we love ourselves. So continue to give him wisdom as he leads And now give him the words that you want him to convey to us now. Amen.
All right, thank you, Pastor Neil. I'd ask that you stand for a Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, once again, welcome, Neil. Thanks for the first prayer. That includes a pothole reference. I think that's first for me. Thank you all for coming today. City councilors, elected officials, community leaders, city employees. We have quite a few of our city employees here. Residents joining us in person and online. Special thanks to my wife is here. My son Max. Give him a wave. Max, give him a wave. All right. Yeah, you can give him a clap. If you ever get ice cream at B&G Milky Way at 69th and Cliff, and it's prepared perfectly, tip big, that's probably Max's handiwork. So, but today the theme of our address is going to be about numbers. We're going to dive into the numbers of our community and where our community is at in numbers. And this is from a guy who's not a big numbers guy. I have a great finance team. I have a great city finance director in Sean Pritchett who keeps me between the ditches with numbers. But I want to walk through your city in numbers. And the first number I want to talk about is the number 16. 16 has to do with this place we're at today, the Canopy. The Canopy is one of 16 businesses in this new development here called the Steel District here in downtown. Nearly half of these 16 businesses are new to our community. They're brand new businesses to Sioux Falls, including the Canopy. In fact, this is only the 43rd Canopy in the world. The last one before this opened in Japan. The next one that's going to open is in Nashville. So we're in a good company here in Sioux Falls. You know, the vision of the Steel District was something that I remember talking about with Scott Risden when I announced I was running for mayor back in 2017. Scott was one of the first people who reached out to me. Scott's the president of Sioux Steel, and he wanted to meet. We met at Minerva's, and he wanted to talk about the vision for his company, Sioux Steel. And the vision for it wasn't called the Steel District yet, but just a development on this property. And that was nearly 10 years ago. And the point of that is these transformational initiatives, these take a lot of time. They take bold leadership. They take big ideas. And over time, Scott connected with Craig Lloyd and Lloyd Companies, and here we are today. And speaking of Craig, we want to talk about the number 8,000. 8,000 is the number of housing units that Lloyd Companies has built under Craig Lloyd's leadership and the people of Lloyd Companies. Over 115 of those housing units are right here at the Steel District. Craig is the co-founder. He's the longtime leader of Lloyd Companies. Craig was the driving force behind the growth and development of quality housing throughout this region. And again, our community isn't about just numbers, even though we're going to talk about a lot of numbers today. It's the people behind those numbers, and Craig shaped the landscape of this community. Not just housing, but the leader, who he was, shaped this community. We can see his fingerprints in large-scale commercial developments like Dolly Farm, uptown at Falls Park, not far from here, and now where we're at today, the Steel District. But Craig was most proud of the work he did to bring new, affordable housing programs to Sioux Falls starting in the early 90s. Just a huge visionary, a giant in Sioux Falls. And I'd ask that you just take a moment of silence as we remember just a giant we lost this last year. $2086 is the number of Sioux Falls residents that our housing team helped in 2024. 2,086 different people. So our housing team, we maximize federal, state, and local funding to keep people and get people housed. So we provide housing assistance through partnerships and different programs through a very, very simple mission. And that mission is this. We help produce, meaning build, we help preserve, and we help rehabilitate different housing options in our community. For example, this one on the screen, 41 Flats. This is an income-restricted property. So what did the city of Sioux Falls do in this example? We provided gap financing of $750,000 with a 0% interest loan using federal funds in order to get this project across the finish line. It was completed last year, and it's been a home run by all accounts. So in 2024, we put $8.5 million invested into the community in projects like 41 Flats. We have another $4 million set aside for programs like this in the year ahead. However, there's an asterisk by that because there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of changes happening at the federal level, and we rely heavily on federal funds to do affordable housing initiatives like this. So we're watching this very, very closely to ensure we can still deliver quality, affordable housing to our community. 36.98 and 5.65, two key numbers that reinforce the safety of our community. 36.98 is the number of property crimes per capita we had last year. 5.65 is the number of violent crimes we had per capita this last year. Maybe a little hard to see for some of you in the back, but you can see the trend line there. The top line, again, colorblind, I think it's yellow, shows that we had 36.98 property crimes per 1,000 residents. I want to point out that's the lowest per 1,000 residents since 2019, since pre-COVID. 5.65 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, that's also the lowest number we've had since 2019, also pre-COVID. So another way you can read this chart is that 2024, our community was the safest it's been since pre-COVID, since 2019. Incredible work by Sioux Falls PD to keep our community safe. This should be a chart we should all be very, very proud of. 78, sticking with the public safety theme, is an important number because that's the number of new firefighters, new metro communications operators, new cops that have been trained at the public safety campus since we opened that place in late 2023. Now that project has seen tremendous success, and that campus has been an absolute boon since it was opened a year and a half ago. Now the 78 stat doesn't really encompass everything that goes on there, because there's countless number of people who train out there, not only our own staff, our own firefighters, our own police officers, but throughout the region to improve their skills every day to make sure we're ready in the event of an emergency. We are continually growing and enhancing our public safety teams to address our growing community, a community that's growing right now by 2.5% to 3% every year, or 5,000 to 6,000 people every single year. Now, we bonded or borrowed to pay for this investment, roughly a $55 million investment. What do we mean by bonded? Basically, we took out a mortgage to pay for this. Okay? And it was only possible because of the support of the city council at that time, who made a statement about public safety in Sioux Falls. We did this in 2020, in a year when it was not popular to bond for a project to support public safety to this magnitude. And again, even though our community isn't the numbers, it is more about the people. And one of those people is Tiana Bumbaka Keo. Tiana graduated from the Law Enforcement Academy at the Public Safety Campus last fall. After going through a youth law enforcement academy in high school, she knew she wanted to serve as a police officer. She moved to South Dakota from sunny California to attend Mount Marty University and to run track. She then got connected with our summer internship program. We call it Ascend. That's the name of our internship program. In 2023, before she graduated college, and then with our law enforcement academy. So she found out about our police department because of that internship program. But once going through the program, she chose to stay here because of the incredible people, not only in our department, but our city as well as an organization. Tiana's actually here. Could you just stand up, ma'am, and be recognized for what a great cop you are? In the year ahead, we will continue to focus on strengthening our public safety workforce, recruiting people like Officer Bumbaka, while staying efficient in city government. And that's Italian, by the way, she tells me. It's something we've been talking a lot about lately. Another thing we've been talking a lot about lately is our homeless population. I want to spend a little time talking about that. I'm going to start with this number 212. 212 is the number of individuals that South Dakota Urban Indian Health connected with on the streets in 2024. Now, Urban Indian Health partnered with the city to provide a street outreach team that our city council has supported financially to meet individuals where they're at on the street, specifically our Native relatives who are struggling with homelessness and in a lot of cases addiction. Now, they helped to house or get people to housing 20 different people in 2024. Now, those 20, that may not sound like a big number, but again, these are some of our hardest to house people in our community. They're hard to house because of their barriers. They've been maybe through our justice system multiple times in some cases. They maybe just aren't ready for the step to take housing yet. This has been a good relationship for us with the city, and we look forward to continuing it again in the year ahead. And one of the places that Urban Indian can connect people to is a place called The Link. And since we opened The Link in 2021 to the end of last year in 2024, we have triaged or seen 13,118 different times someone has come through the door. Okay? 3,676 have been unique individuals. Okay? So that means, on average, each person is seen about 3.5 times there. What do we do at The Link? We treat people suffering from chronic addiction issues, detox. We provide detox services. We provide sobering services. It's not glamorous work. It's very hard work. But when we talk about homelessness, a lot of times addiction is one of the root causes of that homelessness. And The Link is one of the best investments this community has made to try and get at that root cause of homelessness. Many in our homeless community are struggling with addiction, and we ask them, when they check into The Link, when we take them into The Link, we ask them to self-report, where would you have gone if you hadn't come here? 80% say they would have gone to jail, or they wouldn't have gone anywhere. Okay? Almost 70% who go to The Link self-report as being homeless. Okay? Of all those 13,100, okay, 70% of those checking there say they're homeless. So we're doing the hard work of trying to get to the root cause of addiction at The Link, to get people set up for success by treating that disease. 6 months ago, we partnered with Southeastern Behavioral Health on a deeper level, and they moved into the building, moved into The Link. And they're supplementing the services we're providing. They're working with individuals during and after their treatment to connect them to different resources, including behavioral health resources, which is also a big co-occurring challenge in our homeless community. Now, this is a tough one, $10.99. $10.99 is the cost for 60 ounces of vodka in our community. Think about that. It's readily accessible. We spend millions of dollars at the Link to treat addiction. And for less than $11, you can go get 60 ounces of vodka. It's hard. It's hard. We have headwinds constantly on these issues. Readily accessible, cheap liquor is not helping our community. It's why you're going to see in the weeks and months ahead a campaign from the city saying handing out cash does not help. It's not helping. It's enabling some of these challenges. Doesn't mean we don't have compassion, but it does mean we can't enable some of this behavior. Okay? We have support services. We can't hand out cash. You're going to see that in the weeks and months ahead. I hope you will support that message because it's an important one. Instead, consider giving that cash to the nonprofits, to the Southeasterns, to the Links, to the Bishop Dudleys, to the people that are doing the boots on the ground work to help folks in our homeless community. Collaboration is going to continue to be key to make a difference in that space. I want to share one last story on this. Mr. 114. 114, we had a guy come to the Link 114 times before he decided to get treatment. 114 times. Our staff at the Link saw this guy. On the 110th time, wasn't ready. We can lead a horse to water, we can't make him drink. He went back out, was not done. 111th time, he went back out. 112th time, he went back out. 113th time, he went back out. You know how hard that is for our staff to say, what are we doing here? On the 114th time, he decided, I'm done. He's now got a job, he's got a car, he's got an apartment, he's got insurance on his car. He comes back to visit the staff to thank them. Oh, but it took 114 times. That's why this work is so hard. And no one has the right answers, but doesn't mean we give up. And I want to highlight someone who's doing amazing work in that, and that lady is Julie Haddock. Julie is our nurse manager at the Link. Julie and her staff, they do this work day in and day out, and it's incredibly hard work. Julie started her career as a nurse 4 decades ago, and she chooses to work at the Link because she has empathy for the patients and their loved ones through her own lived experiences. And Julie says this, she wants to see patients at the Link, quote, treated as humans. She wants to give them hope and keep them alive so they can have a chance to catch a glimpse of a healthier life. So it's not just the numbers. It's people like Julie who make our community. So Julie and any of our Link staff that are here, could you stand up and be recognized for the work that you guys are doing in our community? All right, Mark Cotter, buckle in. We're going to talk about roads. You ready? All right. 180 million. 2025 is going to be a year of just transformational road work in our community. And 26 really will be too because of the size of these projects. 180 million is the total cost of major street projects that we are going to be embarking on in 2025 and into 2026 that either are being led by us or we're being done in collaboration with the South Dakota Department of Transportation. These are foundational investments, huge investments, and it's hard to remember a time when we have had this many big projects happening at once. I want to take a look at a few of those. I want to start with the reconstruction of the intersection at Arrowhead and Veterans Parkway. Long overdue if you're an East Sider, but your commute's going to be rough for a little while. And if it is, call Mark Cotter. I'll put his cell phone number on my Twitter after this. This is a $29 million project, okay? Is going to take about 2 years. But when it's done, this will be the largest intersection in the entire state of South Dakota. The traffic flow is going to be like an orchestra. It's going to be incredible. Short-term pain, but long-term gain. It's going to be one of the best, most well-run intersections as our east side continues to expand. We also are working on continued construction of South Veterans Parkway. We opened the 2-mile segment from Western to Cliff last year. You can see that on the screen. And the next 2-mile segment is from Cliff to Sycamore. When this is complete, we will have an 8.6-mile additional roadway in our city that will be a major connector in and around southeast Sioux Falls, basically connecting Harrisburg over to Highway 11 and all the way to Brandon. I-229 in Cliff, it's already started. This has been a challenging intersection, to say the least, for many, many years. Any Lincoln families in the room and trying to do the 8 a.m. or 3 p.m. Pickup and drop-offs there? Work has started on this already. This will be completed by the end of 2026. Also a massive project in conjunction with the state. And then, of course, I-29 and 85th Street. I think this has been in my State of City address for 7 straight years. But this one, I mean it. We're actually going to start it this year. We will be breaking ground on this thing this fall. It's such a unique project because it's unique because we have so many people involved. That's also why it takes so long. We got the feds, Lincoln County, City of Sioux Falls, City of T, the state, and most unique, several private landowners that all stepped up to put a diverging diamond in there, which will drastically change east-west traffic flow on the south side of Sioux Falls. Now, that will be the 3rd diverging diamond in the city of Sioux Falls. And we talk a lot about diverging diamonds. Here's why diverging diamonds are important. I-29 and 41st Street is a diverging diamond that we opened earlier this year. And about 45,000 cars travel through that diverging diamond. Now, west side, you had your 2 years of disruption. East side, you're getting it now. But that is the 2nd busiest interchange in the city. Since we've opened that interchange, that diverging diamond, we've seen a reduction of 95% in crashes at that exchange since that opened from what was previously there. Think about that, 95% reduction in crashes there. Huge for traffic flow, huge for safety, and also huge for commute times. So diverging diamonds take some time, but man, are they efficient and are they safe. Next number we want to talk about is 30 million. 30 million is how many gallons of wastewater we're going to be able to process through our new water reclamation plant daily when this is complete. Every day we'll be able to process that capacity, 30 million gallons of wastewater. You may say, is that a lot, Paul? I don't know. I didn't know either when I started this job. I can tell you that's a lot of wastewater. We'll be expanding our plant from 21 million gallons to 30 million gallons, roughly a 50% increase in capacity. This is important because our region is growing. And why is the Sioux Falls plant important for the region? It's important for the region because Brandon, the city of Sioux Falls, all send their wastewater to this plant. This truly is a regional wastewater plant. This is the largest project in public works history. We are going to, I don't know if do you cut a ribbon at a wastewater plant? There's got to be something more exciting when we do something fun there, but we'll be doing something this fall when we open our large wastewater treatment plant, a $250 million project this fall. Wastewater is your most foundational, critical piece of infrastructure to grow a community, whether it's for schools, for housing, for economic development. We had a big economic development discussion with someone last week. What do they want to ask about? First question, what's your wastewater capacity? They don't want to talk about workforce. They don't want to talk about housing. It's the first question they want to ask, wastewater capacity. So from an economic development standpoint and a growth standpoint, this is a huge investment for our community. Now, this is one of those investments, again, that we go into debt for to ensure we're planning appropriately for our growth. And growth is a good thing. Okay? Smart, strategic growth doesn't have to be scary. We don't have to be anti-growth in this city or in this state. We can have a strong economy and a great quality of life while still being smart with how we grow. We've seen it in the past several years with so many people choosing to move to Sioux Falls. And do you know what the opposite of growth is? It's stagnancy or it's dying. And so, if you have to pick one, I know what I would pick, and that's growth. $1,639 is our current debt per capita, our current debt per resident that we carry in the city of Sioux Falls. There's lots of discussion right now of fiscal responsibility at the federal, state, local level. There's an assumption that governments are full of bloat, full of fat to trim, full of waste, full of excess. And in some cases, there's some truth to that. But we take our responsibility with taxpayer dollars incredibly seriously here in Sioux Falls. And we continue to invest in our core pillars for the priority investments that we're making for our community. We have limited revenue sources in our city and our state. No corporate income tax, no state income tax, 6.2% sales tax. So I want you to look at this chart. This is our debt per capita compared to some of our peer cities. You can see where we stack up against the Rochesters, the Madison, Wisconsins, Des Moines, Lincolns. Sioux Falls is a very, very fiscally healthy city, a very smart managed city, a city that is in a very strong fiscal position. You should be very proud as a taxpayer when you look at a slide like this. Sure, we have some debt, but compared to our peer cities, we're in a really great position. So much so that we were actually upgraded this year in our bond rating. Okay, what does that mean? Basically what it means, amongst other things, is we will save hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in our bond refinancing. What it also means is that others, like bond rating agencies, they look at the city of Sioux Falls and they say, you are fiscally responsible, you are managed very well, you are a well-run city, and we want to upgrade you because of that. We also only borrow for capital projects in Sioux Falls. What do I mean by capital project? A wastewater plant, capital project. Public safety campus, capital project. Denny Sanford Premier Center, capital project. Okay? These are assets that will serve us for decades into the future because we're taking care of today for a better tomorrow. That's our motto that we have in the city. That's all of our city employees know that. That is our motto. We're sometimes planting seeds for trees under whose shade we'll never sit, and we're very comfortable knowing that that is our job. There's rarely, I shouldn't say rarely, there's never an increase in taxes when we bond for capital projects. We pay for these, we service the debt from existing revenue sources to pay down these debts. And I share this, and the reason I'm sharing this, there's a lot of talk right now about property taxes and cutting spending and so forth. We don't raise taxes to pay for bonded projects. We use existing revenue sources to pay for them. That means we will not raise taxes to pay for the new aquatics and recreation bond approved by the City Council earlier this year. This is going to bring a new outdoor experience at Keene Park and an indoor recreation center to the east side of Frank Olson. These existing pools are more than 50 years old. They're shot. They're in need of replacement. And these are the sorts of quality of life investments that are vital to our growing community, but only possible if we do bond for them. If we want to attract workforce, if we want to keep a vibrant community, yes, roads, highways, wastewater have to be invested in, but quality of life investments have to come alongside them as well to have a balanced community. We've also been able to maintain this strong financial position while growing our team at an appropriate pace. So you can see on the screen here, since 1990, we have more than doubled our population as a city, but as you can see on the graph over the years, we've added to our team at a rate that's been very, very appropriate. You can see the employees per 10,000 population line. Again, colorblind Paul, it's either orange or yellow or green, whatever that line is, but it's gone down. And that's through just smart management of how we're delivering services, utilizing technology in a better way, just delivering services in a smarter and more efficient way. I know that we got quite a few city employees here today, and I would love if they would just stand and be recognized for the great work that they do. So if you work for the city, could you stand up, please? So again, it's not just the numbers, it's people like this, these public servants that make our community what it is. And we are discussing our finances more than normal in today's address because the reality is we're living in a bit of economic uncertainty right now based on some of the federal changes as well as some actions even at the state level. 25 million is the next number I want to spend a little time talking about. There's been a lot of discussion locally and across the state about property tax relief. And this past session, a bill was passed to provide property tax relief. Senate Bill 216 was approved, and it will provide some property tax relief to our residents. But with limited revenue sources, this will come with a trade-off. Okay? We are estimating over the next 10 years, we will lose approximately $25 million in operating expenses as a result of SB 216. So this is a significant impact to our city budget. So we're having to look closely at the level of services that we are offering, that we can offer, that we have offered in the past, and that we will offer in the future. The reality is that we will be making some changes in the coming months and years that residents will feel. Just not going to sugarcoat it. We want to minimize those, however. And so our teams are being critical in how they're looking at where we can recalibrate maybe some of the programs that we've offered in the past and services before our budget is released and presented to our city council colleagues in late July. So as I mentioned, we're in a strong financial position right now. You saw the debt per capita. We're in a great spot. So this recalibration, it's not a cause for panic or anything, but it is a chance for us to step back and look at how we're delivering services and if there's a chance to be more efficient, be more entrepreneurial in the way we're delivering those. Losing this much of a revenue source does create a long-term impact. That's going to need a closer look. With our limited revenue sources, though, and I mentioned that, we either have two options. You can either find new revenue sources or you can raise existing revenue sources, i.e. raise taxes. Well, people don't like that one. So how can we find new revenue sources? It's why we've been casting a vision for the Riverline District. Why this talk about the Riverline District? Well, 2.9 million, that's the number in millions of dollars that we lose in revenue at our convention center every single year. We lost almost 140 events in 1 year, totaling thousands of people who would have supported our small businesses, retailers, and restaurants. Because we have a convention center that was built in 1996 when we were 115,000 people. And we're 220,000 people, and we have the same convention center that was built in 1996. It's time for us to think big, cast a bold vision. Where do we need to go as a community? How do we capture more revenue from those convention goers? This is the reason we continue to think big and dream big about where we need to be in 2050. It takes leadership to move things like this forward. It takes big dreaming. When I met with Scott Risden to talk about this, he didn't have a financing plan. He just said, can you get behind the vision, the idea? Do you agree with the idea? Yes, Scott, I agree with the idea. How are you going to finance it? Don't know, but just can you get behind the idea? We'll figure that out. But we got to get behind the concept. That's what we have to keep doing as a community. Keep dreaming big. Okay? Keep looking for big opportunities. This community has never failed in figuring out how to get stuff done. We can throw the buoy way out there. We always figure out how to swim to it. And I think we can do that here, working with our partners like the Development Foundation, Downtown Sioux Falls, Experience Sioux Falls, Forward Sioux Falls, Chamber, and so forth. What we don't talk about a lot is if we do move a convention center, we will also free up space for about 50,000 feet of indoor recreation space at the existing convention center. Turf, pickleball, walking track, indoor recreation for our community. Why is that important? Because we have a bit of a pilot going on right now on the west side when the city purchased the West Side Recreation Center at the end of last year. To date, through the first quarter of this year, we've sold 5,442 day passes to that place. Day passes, single passes. People who otherwise maybe wouldn't have had access to a membership, couldn't afford a membership, just wanted to drop in on a Saturday, wanted a place for their kids who wanted to go someplace on President's Day, could drop in and use an indoor recreation facility. It's been a great smashing success so far. It's roughly 60 daily passes per day since we've opened. We have lots of families taking advantage of that reduced rate who didn't have access before. And this includes people like Amanda and Matthew McIndoe and their 3 kids who are 3, 5, and 9. We talked to them, and they live less than 5 minutes away from the West Side Rec, and they take their 3 kids about 3 days a week. They attend the arts clubs and treasure hunts, and they go swimming, but they love the indoor play area that was added there for those cold South Dakota days. Just gets them out of the house, allows them to be active. So it's fun to hear stories like that from the community of what they're enjoying most about the rec center. 68 million is the number, and this number blows me away every time I see it. 68 million is the number of private donations that our community has invested in our parks and recreation system since I took office in 2018. $68 million has been given to our park system by philanthropists in our community since 2018. Absolutely incredible number. Yes, clap for that. And we should never, ever take that for granted. That just does not happen by accident. It takes partners. It takes people like, honestly, the tip of the spear on this is always the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation. In fact, we talk so much about Jacobson Plaza. You know how that got lined up? Andy Patterson calls me and says, hey, I want you to meet with this guy, Gary Jacobson, and took us out to lunch, and we talked about it. And Gary said, I want to do ice, and I want to do this thing. And I said, let's get a contract. Gary said, I don't need a contract. Just shake my hand, and we'll call it good. And that's how it came together, was because the Sioux Falls Area Community Foundation brought me and Gary together over lunch. And they do more lunches like that that end up being huge visions for our community. So If anyone from our Parks Foundation Board or the Community Area Foundation is here, would you guys stand up and be recognized for making those dreams happen in our community? That $68 million, that includes, of course, sponsorships. That includes a single $25 million gift for the Great Plains Zoo to bring lions back. It includes recreation trail additions. I mean, our rec trail now, you guys, it's almost going all the way to Great Bear. It's very close. The 50-50 public-private partnership, as I mentioned, with Gary and Diane, the late Craig Lloyd and his wife Pat and family, and T. Denny Sanford for Jacobson Plaza. In fact, we hope you'll join us at the lodge. That's going to open April 30 over here at Jacobson Plaza. There's going to be a food hall, meeting space. It's incredible. Your family is going to love it. You are going to love it. And then this summer in July, the entire park is going to open. And that's going to include the skating ribbon, the splash pad. And the skating ribbon is not ice in the summer. It's going to be repurposed for other uses in the summer. Splash pad, dog park, all-inclusive playground. Again, project does not happen without half of that. Half of that is all paid by private dollars. Really, really incredible. And these quality of life investments, they're really what set our community apart. Many of these decisions and these investments we're making, they're really going to serve our community for decades to come. And some I will be able to experience, some my kids will be able to experience, some they may not be able to experience. But when we're making decisions as a city, a lot of times we want to make sure that we are sending the elevator back down, a term I like to use a lot, and bringing the next generation back up with us. And that table right there in the middle are some great, great young people that are part of this year's Mayor's Youth Council. And there's 15 people on the Mayor's Youth Council this year. It's so important that they have a front row seat to government to learn more about how their city operates. We bring them in once a month. We hear from them. They get to see how we make the sausage in City Hall. They get a tour around and see what we're doing. We ask questions of them. Their input is so valuable. You know, we ask them, what's one word that comes to mind to describe Sioux Falls? You can see some of their answers on the screen. Some of them don't take directions because we ask for one word, and you see, but that's teenagers. But again, it's not the numbers, it's the people. It's these students from all the high schools all over Sioux Falls, some homeschool kids as well, who make our community what it is. So I'd like for our fourth cohort of the Mayor's Youth Council to stand and be recognized. So I want to end today with one final number, and this number is 39. And 39 was the ripe old age that I was when I decided to run for this office. And I had no gray hair. My back didn't hurt. It's a good time. And what I have seen over the last 6-7 years, unfortunately, is less and less people with that desire to run and to serve in office and to get involved in their communities. And I know that ebbs and flows, but I do feel that sometimes we take Sioux Falls for granted, that this just happens, that Steel Districts just happen, that Jacobson Plazas just happen, that things just happen. And we have to be careful, not to just let the loud voices be the ones we listen to. We have to make sure the smart and pragmatic and level-headed leaders are also in the rooms, and we're inviting them to the table, and we're giving them opportunities to have their voices heard. Okay? So important. Maybe you've thought about running for office. Okay? It's hard. Ask these guys up here. There's definitely hard parts of the job, and they probably question several times a month, why did I do this? But it's hard, but it's very rewarding. We have several people that will be done in the years ahead, and we need good people, pragmatic people, smart people who have no agenda other than to make Sioux Falls a better community. We need them in the legislature. We need them on school boards. We need them in city council. We need them in city hall. And so the state of our city depends on the leaders and the next generation to step up and serve. So if you have that fire, if you have that desire, talk to someone. Talk to someone who's serving. Volunteer, mentor, get involved in your community. The numbers, the data, the stats we shared today are important, but they don't make the community. It's the people, it's you all in this room that make Sioux Falls what it is. And again, the key line today, I want you to remember, the Sioux Falls that we all love today, the Sioux Falls that you brag about to your relatives and your college buddies and the people who come here and they say, this is a great community. It didn't happen by accident. It just didn't happen. It took a lot of work from the Craig Lloyds of the world and many, many others who put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make it what it is. And it's up to us to stand on the shoulders of giants like that to keep it moving forward. So thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate all you all do for this community. May God bless Sioux Falls, and may God bless you all in the year ahead. Thank you very much.